next part of the conclave, that is a panel discussion on making PSUs more agile and digital by leveraging cloud computing. And for that, I would like to invite Mr. Rajneesh Dey, consulting editor of APAC News Network, to come on stage. He'll be playing the role of moderator as well. Rajneesh, over to you.
Thanks, Shobik. I think the chairs are being organized. Very briefly, from the inaugural speakers, we heard about how cloud computing is now a reality even in the PSUs. And there are certain, I would say, unique features about cloud deployment in PSUs, which particularly Mr. Manish also talked about. Like most of the PSU data is so sensitive that it's primarily on-premise. All the data are residing on-premise, and they are not going outside their own infrastructure or own premises. What that means is there is a preponderance of private cloud or a hybrid cloud kind of environment, and very little or hardly any applications are there on the public cloud. So in that light, we now have the panel discussion, and it's my pleasure to invite the panelists on the seats here. May I request Mr. Rajagopal A., Chief General Manager IT, Food Corporation of India, FCI. Welcome, sir. May I request Dipesh Jain, Chief Manager IT, Power Finance Corporation, PFC. Welcome, sir. It's my pleasure to invite Ms. Ritu Narang, Senior General Manager, Container Corporation of India. Welcome, ma'am. I would like to invite Dr. Prashant, Atrey, Head of IT and Communication Division at NHPC. Welcome, sir. It's my pleasure to invite Ms. Haritima, Jaipuriar, General Manager IT of RailTel Corporation. Welcome, ma'am. I would like to invite now Mr. Jaspreet Bindra, Assistant General Manager IT, Engineers India Limited. Welcome, Mr. Bindra. I would like to welcome Mr. Devesh Shukla, Cloud Solution Lead for India, Public Sector at Microsoft. And last but not the least, I'd like to welcome Gaurav Jindal, Senior Manager Business Development, Government Business for Thales. Can we have Gaurav here? Can we just stop the sound? Okay. So we have all the panelists, and as we mentioned, certain unique characteristics of cloud deployment in PSUs, very sensitive kind of data, which cannot just go outside the premises. As a result, primarily private cloud deployment. And then the data is also coming from a lot of heterogeneous sources. So sometimes the authenticity, so we will touch upon the condition of the data ownership and data sovereignty also. So I would like to now start with you, Mr. Rajagopal. My first question is, if you briefly take us through the cloud journey at FCI, and my request, due to the paucity of time to all speakers, you have 2 minutes. So what I want to know is the journey, the digital journey towards cloud at FCI. And you mentioned one critical challenge you faced in that deployment.
Right. Thank you very much. So as I was told to be brief, I'll be very brief. Unlike IOCL, which had a presentation earlier, we started our digital journey very late. If IOCL is touching 50% of the population, through our operation of PDS and procurement, we are touching 2/3 of the population. So the scope is large, and requirements, everything is large. But we started late. In a way, it helped us because many of our application, because we started late, we are moving directly to cloud without going for an in-premise model. So at present, we are running almost 320 cores in cloud with about 20 TB SANS storage. And it is going to be growing because we are digitizing in a big way. And we have adopted the cloud first policy. So everything will be in cloud. So we are not planning to have any data center of our own. With the kind of security features which has come up now, and even private clouds mandatorily having their residences in India, I don't see much challenge in moving to cloud. But incidentally, since we are pure government organization, most of our cloud storage at present is with NIC cloud. So we are mostly in the NIC cloud. Of course, of late, some recent applications we have moved to private cloud also. Because we have these meaty empaneled cloud vendors. Now, slowly we are moving to private cloud also. So, yes, as repeatedly mentioned here, data security has been the major threat or the fear, I would say. Okay. It's not a threat, it's fear. I think it's mainly a psychological thing, like how we put all our data into a public space. But I think now slowly that fear is coming down, and I think that has given us the confidence to move beyond the NIC cloud also, because as a government organization, we have inherent inclination to be in NIC cloud. So I see a lot of potential in future because we are digitizing in a big way, and everything will be in cloud going ahead.
Thank you. So basically, as you rightly mentioned, we can really say FCI is sort of feeding the nation, really. And there, as you mentioned, one advantage of moving digital in a later phase has been to bypass the legacy systems and directly move to the cloud. And yes, security has been a bigger challenge. We have another panel discussion where we will take up on the cybersecurity aspect in more detail. Next, I'll come to you, Mr. Dipesh Jain. Again, the same question. The cornerstones of the cloud journey at PFC, and one big challenge that you would like to mention. Your 2 minutes.
Thank you, sir. PFC has adopted cloud of late only, and I will say that in last 3 years, PFC is going major changes and major achievements also, like it acquired REC in 2019, then it was acquired, it was recognized as Maharatna in 2021, and now REC is also recognized as Maharatna company. So correspondingly in IT also, the entire business requirement in IT is under transformation, be it application and be it infrastructure. Now the biggest, the thought process for cloud adoption was that how this has to go in sync, like we are transforming also and we are going for cloud also. So with that respect, we worked out and we drafted the requirements and the RFP and floated last year, and then it was finally tendered after GEM conditions and all. So it was tendered last year, and now we have implemented the entire cloud thing. So we have multiple use cases for cloud adoption. The primary use case is the commissioning of disaster recovery site for PFC. And second use case is the implementation of a new infrastructure on cloud, because as of late we have learned that procuring infrastructure on-prem is becoming a challenge because of constraints and clauses. So it was a long journey, and we had the challenge of having physical servers on-premise and then migrating to virtual instances on cloud. That was a challenge, and now still it's becoming, it's now mitigated, but still it's not as smooth because, well, when it comes to replicating the entire physical instances to virtual, then the RTU, RPU has to be taken care of. So that is one aspect which were focused on during this entire implementation. And I will say that in security also, because we basically went for private cloud. So we want, because it's a largest government NBFC, and we sanction around 1 lakh crores of loans every year. So very great responsibility on IT department as the custodian of the data. So we went for private cloud, and we had the entire grip of the entire data and the setup over there, be it physically and be it access control and security operations. So as governed by MIT guidelines and RBI security framework, we followed the layered in defense approach for the security arrangements, and then we are following the zero trust access mechanism. So there's a lot of things which I can discuss and go on, technically, but I think
Yes.
in the shortage of time, I will cut short my introduction.
So
Thank you.
primarily, what you have mentioned is 2 points coming up. PSUs like PFC, which is on an expansion mode, which requires, and the interesting challenge you mentioned about moving from physical hardware to the virtual environment. Yes, that can be another challenge. Okay, so I would next come to Ritu Narang. Ma'am, so at Container Corporation, what has been the highlights of your cloud journey so far and the biggest challenge that you have faced?
Yeah. Good evening, everybody. I'm from Container Corporation, which is a multi-logistic company, and have different type of stakeholders like CHAs will be there, freight forwarders will be there, shipping lines are there, customs are there, and a lot of things are there, and everybody is on different platform. So bringing all stakeholders on one platform and migrating to cloud is a very big challenge. So in our organization, we have our robust data center, which is in place for more than 2 decades. And we are using a cloud-ready hardware, right? So we have our own virtual cloud network, private cloud. And for critical applications, as per the government guidelines, we cannot keep the data on cloud and the public cloud. But based on the requirements, like some non-critical requirements or some POCs or developments, that type of things we have deployed on the public cloud also. So somewhere we want to use platform as a service or software as a service, we have deployed on public cloud also. So we are opting a hybrid mode to achieve this and to bring all stakeholders on one platform. We are able to achieve that thing also. Because getting all stakeholders on one platform which are having different protocols of IT is another challenge. So optimizing that risk of security, data security, and also following all the government guidelines. So we are able to achieve that thing. Thank you.
Primarily, if I may sum up what you were saying, especially the nature of business in Container Corporation, the challenge is bringing together all stakeholders in the ecosystem. There are a lot of external entities also, the partners and other entities, and they will have different systems. So migrating all of them has been one of the bigger challenges for you. Yes, we will take that up also in the second round. Next, we have Dr. Prashant Atrey, NHPC, National, the Hydro Power, one of the largest organizations in the power sector. So your experience in the cloud journey and the biggest challenge that you have faced till date.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. NHPC is not a customer-based sort of organization. It's a hydropower organization which is providing clean and clean power to the nation. And with the upcoming of more and more renewable projects, and the entire country is facing the grid stabilization issues. So only hydropower can solve that. So government has given us a challenge of making more and more new projects which we have to take up. So right from the concept to commissioning we work, and from planning stage then we construct the project and we operate it. So our journey basically, if we see the IT based journey, it's now 33 years of my service I've completed. So I joined the IT department, started with our mainframe computers, and lot of changes we have seen since then. And in 2007, we adopted for a ERP solution, and we have been using right now also the BSNL data centers and NIC data centers, as we have earlier seen, that just for data security point of view. And we also have our own state-of-the-art technology data center at our corporate office, Faridabad. So some non-ERP applications, vital applications, important applications are there, and other applications are in our BSNL and NICSI. Now, the challenge which is coming up is that many times the latency issues and connectivity issues are there because in BSNL, I can just not like to tell, they also outsource the things. And many times the fiber gets cut, the other things are there. So these issues keep on coming. Now to embark on another journey which we have already started and we are going for tender, we have now taken a big basically challenge with regards to our new age ERP which are going to adopt very soon. It will be going to be a software as a service. And in a PSU, the software as a service ERP, I think not much, many PSUs have gone that. So now we are going for that. And also we are upgrading our IT infrastructure to take care of our cybersecurity requirements. And NHPC as CERT Hydro is basically taking care of 35 number private and public sector of our hydro PSUs and private companies and leading them and to take care of their cybersecurity issues. So as a for cybersecurity part, we have taken all the measures, all ISMS is implemented, we have got EDR solution implemented. So that is the complete perfection with the company. So this is all from my side.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So, very critically mentioned, as you are sort of responsible for 35 organizations, both public and private, in idle power, and you correctly mentioned about the journey that you have taken, the ERP implementation. You brought it up from those mainframe days to the cloud deployment today. That's interesting. Till now, what in the inaugural, Mr. George mentioned about the different facets, the IaaS, the PaaS, the SaaS. We have heard primarily SaaS and PaaS being deployed, lesser of IaaS. Maybe that's because primarily this is more on-prem data centers. Since we have been hearing from the CIOs till now, I'll like to now get a viewpoint from the industry, and I'll come to you, Devesh, with that. We heard about the sensitivity of the data, especially in PSUs. So when this sensitivity of data, which is perhaps even more heightened than some of the private organizations, so how critical do you think is the question of data sovereignty and data ownership in as PSUs embark on their cloud journey?
Thank you for asking that. Hi, I am Devesh. I work with the Azure team in Microsoft and work with organizations like available over here to help them in their transformation for cloud. There are three aspects to data when we understand the cloud journey of governments. We need to first understand that the journey has to be a progression. It is not a sudden journey. So it will always be starting from a hybrid scenario or a on-prem scenario to a probably PaaS or a SaaS offerings in a pure cloud world. The ownership of data can be divided into two parts: data which is specifically between governments, and data which has got multiple producers and multiple consumers. Very specifically, if you look at, there is a data associated with NHPC or data associated with oil corporation or data associated with ONGC, which is primarily shared between the government agencies. While there is also a lot of data which an FCI might be using, which might be associated with citizens, which might be associated with third-party organizations. So that data classification or that identification of various formats of data is important to understand. As soon as we get into that, the question of who owns the data comes into play. Fundamentally, the government organizations own the data which they either produce or consume, as compared to a corporate world where the ownership of the data lies with only the producer. In the government zone, the government owns either whether consumed or produced data. In the historical scenarios, because we had physical data centers, we were able to identify where the data was located, number one. and we were able to control access to the data. In the public cloud world, we will not have an exact location of data. We might still have a location of the data center, but we will not know where in that data center your data is. Because of that, the virtual ownership of data becomes very important. And therefore, like one of the gentlemen in the panel said, zero trust architecture, or an architecture which ensures that you will not have access to data unless explicitly given to you, like what is implemented in Azure, is important to the extreme extent.
Okay.
The second thing also will be important is that how do you classify this data? That will ensure, and organizations like Microsoft, Thales do that work inherently for you when you create the data,
Okay.
thus helping you address that.
Sure. So primarily two areas that you are mentioning about. One, categorizing the data. It can be B2B, B2C, or in this context, we can say NHPC will be G2B, if I mention, or G2C. And according to that categorization, outlining policies around that, and then ensuring, if I may say, segmented ownership according to those policies. Great. I'll come back to the CIOs now, and I'll come to Ms. Haritima Jaipuriar. She is the General Manager IT of RailTel Corporation. Again, one of the railways is one of the biggest PSUs, and RailTel we know. So, ma'am, your journey on the cloud and your biggest challenge till date.
A very good evening to all. First of all, I would like to thank APAC for inviting me as a panelist in this August forum. RailTel is a railway PSU, as you all know, and it was established in the year 2000 as a telecom company, but now we have emerged as an ICT service provider. We started our data center services in the year 2015. We have 2 data centers located in 2 different seismic zones, and our data centers are uptime tier 3 certified. And a year ahead, that is in 2016, we started our first cloud service. We onboarded a government customer, and then slowly we were moving forward in a cloud journey, onboarding different customers. In 2019, RailTel signed an MOU with Ministry of Railways for a very important project in Indian Railways that was rolling out of NICE office in Pan India, in all 17 zones and 68 divisions and all the offices of railway. This was done in phases. And after signing of MOU, within 6 months, we were able to, host the application, and in our cloud, we made, in fact, since railway was a big organization with a huge user base and around 250, 240 establishments in totality, so we made a virtual private cloud separately for this project in our data center for Indian Railways. And in 6 months, we were able to make the project live from data center perspective. And in 2.5 years, we were able to roll out in the entire offices of Indian Railways. With the success of this project, we were assigned another project of hospital management information system from Indian Railways, and this was all being done during the pandemic. I mean, in 19 and 20, we were working relentlessly, and I would say, honestly say that pandemic was an enabler for digitalization. And railways, which we used to think that it would be a Herculean task for us to change the mindset and make a shift, and making them changing their work from manual working to e-office, and implementation of HMIS also we felt very difficult, would be difficult, but we were able to do that. And again, HMIS application we hosted in our cloud, and so far, and as of now, we have all the hospitals, around 700 hospitals and health units of Indian Railways on HMIS platform. In 2021 Feb, that means in last year, our RailTel got empaneled with Mighty as a cloud service provider. And since then, we are getting lots of customers for as a this thing. They are taking cloud services from us, and this way we have created a foothold in this space, and we continuously strive to improve and grow.
Thank you. So primarily, I'd say you are a little bit unique from all the other PSUs here, who are primarily users of technology and cloud computing, whereas you are yourself an ICT service provider and now a cloud service provider, as you're saying, empaneled by Mighty also. And very interestingly, when you talked about the e-office as well as HMIS, which you developed on your own virtual cloud. So obviously, technologically, cloud-wise, you are a little more evolved than some of your peers here. That's a very interesting point. Next, I'll come to you, Mr. Jaspreet Bindra from Engineers India. What has been the cloud journey for you till date, and the biggest roadblock that you have faced till now?
Good evening to all of you. So when we say about cloud computing, we say it's a private cloud, public cloud, hybrid cloud. So I must say our users are totally abstracted from what we are using in our data centers. So it's again a cloud, but we have, it's a private cloud, which has been there since long time back. Our first journey with the cloud computing predominantly started with the email. We were looking for a gradation of email systems. We had a very large hardware and software with, but we were unable to manage those softwares and daily patch fixes, upgrades, security patches for the email system, because the email system is very critical. So we approached the NIC in 2019 to have the NIC email cloud as a SaaS. And we started our journey. So that was the first taste of cloud to our, to the company, to the employees. And NIC was very good actually. The downtime was very less. They were able to manage our security patches and everything was there. So it's kind of a SaaS service which we got from NIC, and it started, giving us a input, right? Let's say we start our cloud journey. After that, the pandemic came, and again we were supposed to have, because the work cannot stop, so we need to have meetings and all that stuff. So we thought, okay, what should we do next? Our video conferencing systems are on-prem. So we thought about let's go for the Teams or Cisco WebEx or Zooms or other video conferencing softwares which are again cloud-based. These softwares, they really help us because in enabling our business. Now that was the second instance. Now after that, we are now thinking of because we are predominantly an engineering consultant company, so we cannot have, like IOCL, we cannot have our critical data moving to the cloud. So then now, at the moment, we are thinking of planning of, a hybrid approach where we are going to migrate our security operations services, SOC services on the Mighty embedded cloud. A tender is already in the market, and people, they are definitely going to bid for it. So we have various roadmaps with regards to the cloud computing. We are going to have also the ERP coming up onto the cloud. We are also preparing the RFPs for that. But the key requirement of all these things is that the government has come up with a very good initiative of Mighty, which is Meghraj's scheme. Mighty has given us a lot of confidence to the PSUs, like with respect to data security. They are already ISO 27000 compliant, ISO 27018, ISO 27000, so ISO 27015. So all these, their compliances are there with the CSPs, and Mighty through STQC are auditing those the CSP, so which has given a lot of confidence to us. Yes, we can move some of the critical data to the cloud, and let's see how the journey begins. Thank you.
Thank you. So, interesting point. Someone also again pointed out how digitalization advanced during the pandemic, and you mentioned how the different communication software, which were primarily operating on cloud, helped keep the business afloat, which was a need of the hour, perhaps in throughout 2020 and half of 2021 maybe. So again, I'll come back to an industry perspective from Mr. Gaurav Jindal. My question is, you have heard the PSU speaking, and they are talking about governance. So how can we ensure better governance and control on the cloud with external key management? What is Thales' viewpoint on that?
Okay, hey, I'm Gaurav Jindal. So thanks for having me. So one thing is very clear during our discussions that cloud adoption is inevitable, and although we are cognizant of the associated risks, but that is the way forward. So it can't be avoided. It could be hybrid as of now. We never know if it moves 100% to cloud tomorrow. That's yet to be seen. But having said that, as Devesh also spoke about data, who owns the data, I would talk about who controls the data to augment it. If you see, if I were to talk of a shared responsibility metrics of data, then whether it is IaaS, PaaS, SaaS, or whatever, the underlying fact remains that the responsibility of data is with the customer and it doesn't lie with the cloud provider. So from that perspective, I would say that when the data is residing in cloud, having control of that data or the control of the keys which is encrypting that data should be with the customer, and that is what the best industry practices talk about. Having said that, also again taking cognizance of the risks involved with the cloud, we at Thales work very closely with all the major cloud service providers, let it be Microsoft, Google, or AWS, and we have our certified solutions with all the major CSPs. If I may say so, I think we are the only ones who have certified solutions with all these cloud providers. So that is point number 2. And finally, I would say that from a data sovereignty perspective or from data protection perspective, the decoupling of keys is very important. So once, if you have a data in cloud and you're encrypting it, then the keys should be decoupled and maybe they are advised to be kept on-prem so that you control and the data and you don't leave your key lying along with the lock where you are encrypting the data. So those are the 3 major points I would dwell upon here.
Thanks for highlighting on the key management part. Okay, so one last round with each speaker, 1 minute to each of you. And I would like to ask, next 12 to 18 months, what will be one major action which you have planned in your cloud computing or digital transformation journey? Starting with you, Mr. Rajagopal.
Yeah. One major initiative which we are coming up with, as I mentioned, the digitization of the operations. Like someone else also mentioned in the earlier session, there are multiple applications, and we have a very interesting problem because we work with all the state governments also. Like almost 24 state governments work closely with us on the procurement part, and all the state governments work with on the distribution part. So we are trying to create a digital backbone, like a common platform where we bring all these state government systems and get the data from them basically, and create a data warehouse and use that warehouse to run our analytics and create a national level dashboard kind of things for the entire operations. So that is the next big project we are taking up. So definitely we'll be looking at various options for onboarding that.
Great to know that. Mr. Dipesh Jain, your action plan for the next 12 to 18 months.
Our next move will be augmenting the cybersecurity posture at on-prem data center and our disaster recovery center on private cloud. We have already drafted a cybersecurity framework based on the RBI guidelines for cybersecurity on banks and NBFCs. So based on that framework, we will be now evaluating and drafting the the solutions which are give us the comprehensive security posture for the data center and DR, and more importantly, the link between the two, that how the entire coverage is there, and what are the similar OEMs or the different OEMs has to be work together, so that we get the maximum security on that thing. So we need to work a lot on that thing, and then probably we will have a very fortified security posture at PFC.
Thanks. Ritu ma'am.
Yeah, over the period, what we have observed that there are a lot of legacy systems are there in the organization. So making the applications independent of the platform is a very important thing. Like we are going for service-oriented architecture for most of the applications, so that there will not be any change in the application front, but we are able to bring enterprise bus over those applications. So we'll have a enterprise dashboard, which will give us a complete insight of all the applications. And we are able to share the data vertically as well as horizontally among the applications. So this is a demand of the era also, like whatever the applications are there over the period, the technology changes, version changes are there. And changing application and deploying on any of the platform, whether on cloud or on premise. So you need a technical upgradations to be there. And by using service-oriented architecture, you make the application independent of the platform. So we are in the process of revamping applications on that platform.
Okay, that's interesting. You are creating a dashboard and a SOA on that. Great to know that. Dr. Prashant Atrey, your plan of action.
Yeah, thank you. In fact, NHPC, as on date, have already decided, and we'll be coming out with the bids also. We are going for a big digital transformation. We already have a ERP, and we have got large number of in-house applications apart from that. So we are bringing in integration, and we are going for new age ERP, which will be a software as a service. We'll be taking that. And not only this, we are also going to integrate the IT/OT integration from our power stations with demilitarized zone. That means an enhanced cybersecurity posture will be there. Similarly, our construction project we have already planned for having a real-time construction-based monitoring. So this is a very big thing that we are going to plan, and next 12 months we'll be awarding the work as well, and my team will also be involved in that. Plus, one thing I forgot to tell, that recently we have also launched an application that is early warning system for our hydro projects. It is a real-time based system based upon cloud. Everything is on cloud there. And the incident that you must have seen last year in the NTPC, one of the NTPC projects, there was a disaster. So we have already launched this application as per the advice of Ministry of Power. It was all in-house application. And last rainy season, at least 4 times our projects have been saved. And we are also asking other hydro PSUs to just, or even private as well, to use our services. So this is all from my side. Thank you.
Thanks. So you talked about the IoT deployment, which is their plan, and that will bring it with it, maybe it's unique security challenges, especially on the OT front. Okay, so ma'am Haritima, your plan of action next 12 to 18 months.
Yeah. In the coming 1 year and a half in RailTel, we are planning to do expansion of our data center. We are running out of space of our Gurgaon data center. So we are doing expansion, number 1. Second thing is we are working on a project for railways, which is signaling maintenance management system. We intend to this will be like a software as a service for railways, and we have hosted in our cloud. We intend to complete in the coming 6 months. It's a pilot project though. Then we intend to work in emerging technologies like AI, ML, and IoTs also in the coming months.
Thanks. Again, as earlier mentioned, you are perhaps uniquely placed amongst all the PSUs. You yourself are an IT PSU, if I may say. Next, Mr. Jaspreet Bindra, your action plan.
At EIL, we are thinking of now the cloud-first policy. So we already have a one RFP which is out, which is Security Operations Center on the cloud. We are also planning to have the ERP as well as the laptop backups of the critical backup of the laptops also on the cloud. So there are multiple projects we are planning on the cloud at the moment.
Thanks. Devesh, I may rephrase the question for you. What are Microsoft's plans for the public sector on cloud in the next 12 to 18 months?
So if you see fundamentally, everyone has talked about going to cloud. Now, we will see approximately a 40 to 50% increase in data on cloud in the next year, and probably even higher in the next 2 years to come. What Microsoft aims to do is make this journey for people easier, hassle-free, and a manageable experience, number one. At the same time, we also are looking to enhance our security posture. We are looking to ensure that the TCO and the ROI which is expected from the government organizations is improved when Microsoft joins hands with them for a much stronger movement to cloud at a lower TCO, total cost of ownership, at a easier experience and a much more manageable environment for them as compared to probably if they were to do it on their own. Second thing, we're also looking to democratize a lot of new technologies like AI, like ML, like IoT Edge, like stream analytics, which will help organizations like FCI, like EIL, move very quickly to cloud at fraction of a cost if they were to do it on their own.
Okay, so that's a very critical point. In fact, I was a little bit surprised that no one touched upon the budgetary constraint issue, and you rightly mentioned democratization of the adoption, especially in the PSU, where a lot are doing very citizen-centric services. Okay, same question to you, Gaurav. Thales plans, especially with vis-a-vis PSUs, for the next 6 quarters.
Yeah, so as we're talking of cloud adoption, so one of the products which we have recently worked upon and matured is which works around data in motion protection, which we have high-speed encryptors, because now data in transit would be growing with the more and more cloud adoption. So this particular product of ours works around future threats from quantum computing, and maybe takes away the risks involved with the, for example, when we talk of IPsec and SSL stuff, which is almost about 2.5 decades old technology. So this is a relatively new technology which we are bringing to the table. Then we have another mature product, which is data discovery and classification. What we were talking earlier, Mr. Manish Grover was talking about discovering the sensitive data. So that is another product which we are bringing to the table, and we are working closely with all the PSUs. And last but not the least, we also have a product, as we were talking about vendor lock-ins or maybe cloud provider lock-ins, or the ease of working with multiple cloud providers. So we have a product called CCKM, wherein it takes away the risks of vendor lock-in with a particular CSP. If they are facing any problems, they can simply switch over to the new service provider. And if it is an environment where a PSU or a government organization is using multiple clouds, then you can manage all the clouds with a single GUI. So that ease of management is another. So basically 3 products which we have: HSC, CCKM, and data discovery and classification.
Okay, thank you. So primarily, very interestingly, you talked about the products which will help the PSUs in the future. So if I may sum up the conversation, some of the important points, all PSUs are definitely have long embarked on their cloud journey, and they are in a fairly mature state, if I may say. Things which are happening is many of them have not only the enterprise applications, ERP or CRM, someone mentioned about dealer management system. They are not only from the OEMs, but also a lot of in-house developed. We have obviously most on-premise data centers, so most things are on private cloud. So that's an dichotomy, I may say. Public sector companies always operating on private cloud. And then interestingly, a lot of future plans around newer technologies like AI/ML deployment or IoT deployment, which we have heard about. Great. In fact, Gaurav, the last point you mentioned due to paucity of time about this vendor lock-in. We could have talked about the SLAs, which define the relationship with the service providers. So before we close and disperse this discussion, may I request Mr. Sanghamitra Mohanty, the co-founder of APAC News Network, to hand over a token of appreciation to all our panelists. And we have the mementos. Mr. Rajagopal A. Mr. Dipesh Jain. Ms. Ritu Narang. Dr. Prashant Atrey. Ms. Haritima Jaipuriar. Mr. Jaspreet Bindra.